Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Science Society. Tonight, we are drifting into one of the most mysterious territories of the human mind, a realm that operates constantly yet remains largely invisible to our everyday awareness. We are exploring the subconscious, that vast inner universe that shapes nearly every moment of your life without you ever noticing its work. It is the silent architect of your thoughts, the invisible hand guiding your choices, and the tireless worker that never rests even as you sleep. As you settle in for this quiet journey, I invite you to make yourself comfortable. Perhaps adjust your pillow, let your shoulders drop, and allow your breathing to find its natural rhythm. If you enjoy these peaceful explorations of science, I would be grateful if you would like this video, subscribe to the channel, or share a thought in the comments below. It helps other curious minds find their way to this little corner of calm, one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, all you need to do is relax and let your mind wander gently through the hidden corridors of consciousness. The subconscious mind is not some mystical entity or abstract concept. It is a very real part of your neural architecture, a network of brain systems that hum along beneath the surface of awareness, making decisions, storing memories, and running the countless processes that keep you alive and functioning. While you consciously focus on reading these words or thinking about your day, your subconscious is simultaneously regulating your heartbeat, managing your digestion, monitoring your surroundings for threats, retrieving relevant memories, and preparing responses to situations you have not even encountered yet. It is doing all of this and more, operating with a sophistication that makes even our most advanced computers look primitive by comparison. Tonight, we will wander through the science of this hidden mind, exploring what researchers have discovered about how it works, what it controls, and why it matters so profoundly to who you are. We will look at cutting-edge neuroscience studies that reveal the subconscious making choices before you are aware of them, organizing your experiences into categories you never consciously create, and processing information at speeds that seem almost impossible. We will explore how it works during sleep to consolidate your memories and solve problems, how it can be influenced by stimuli you never consciously perceive, and how it bridges the gap between mind and body in ways that continue to surprise researchers. Let your eyes relax now. Allow the weight of the day to lift gently from your shoulders. And let us begin this journey into the depths of the mind of the hidden architect, what the subconscious really is. Before we can understand what the subconscious does, we need to clarify what it actually is. The terms subconscious, unconscious, and preconscious are often used interchangeably in everyday conversation, but neuroscientists and psychologists draw important distinctions between them. The unconscious mind, in the traditional sense, refers to mental processes that operate completely outside of awareness and cannot easily be brought into consciousness. These include automatic bodily functions, deeply buried memories, and primitive instincts. The subconscious, on the other hand, refers to information and processes that are not currently in your conscious awareness, but can potentially be accessed. It sits in a kind of liminal space, neither fully conscious nor entirely inaccessible. What makes the subconscious so fascinating is its sheer scope. According to research in cognitive neuroscience, Approximately 95% of your daily decisions and mental activity take place in the subconscious mind. That means only about 5% of your thoughts, choices, and behaviors are genuinely conscious and deliberate. When you wake up and go through your morning routine, brush your teeth, make your coffee, choose your clothes, you are executing a series of complex motor and cognitive tasks. Yet you are barely thinking about any of them. Your conscious mind may be planning your day or replaying a conversation from yesterday, while your subconscious handles the intricate coordination of muscle movements, spatial awareness, and procedural memory required for these everyday activities. This division of labor is not accidental. It is a crucial evolutionary adaptation. The conscious mind, while powerful in certain ways, is remarkably limited in its processing capacity. Studies show that conscious attention can handle only about 40 bits of information per second. That might sound like a lot, but consider what it means. 40 bits per second is roughly enough to understand one person speaking at a normal pace, or to focus on a single visual task, but not much more. If you try to consciously process everything happening around you simultaneously, the sounds, the sights, the smells, the sensations in your body, the memories surfacing, the future plans forming, your conscious mind would be instantly overwhelmed and paralyzed. The subconscious mind, by contrast, processes approximately 11 million bits of information per second. Pause for a moment and consider that staggering difference. Your subconscious is handling information at a rate roughly 275,000 times faster than your conscious mind. It is monitoring every sensory input from your environment, tracking patterns and anomalies, retrieving relevant memories from your vast internal database, preparing motor responses, regulating emotional states, maintaining homeostasis throughout your body, and performing countless other functions, all simultaneously, and all without requiring any conscious effort or attention from you. This massive processing power allows the subconscious to function as a kind of autopilot system for your life. It learns patterns through repetition and then executes those patterns automatically, freeing up your limited conscious resources for novel situations that genuinely require deliberate attention and creative problem solving. When you learn to drive a car, for example, the process initially demands intense conscious focus. You must think carefully about every movement, when to press the brake, how hard to turn the steering wheel, where to look, how to judge distances. But after months or years of practice, driving becomes largely subconscious. Your hands and feet move in coordinated patterns without conscious instruction. You can hold a conversation, listen to music, or think about completely unrelated topics while your subconscious handles the complex task of navigating traffic. This ability to automate learned behaviors is one of the subconscious mind's greatest strengths, but it also reveals an important limitation. The subconscious is extraordinarily efficient at executing patterns it has learned, but it is not particularly good at evaluating whether those patterns are still useful or appropriate. Once a behavior or belief becomes embedded in the subconscious, it tends to persist even when circumstances change. This is why habits can be so difficult to break. Your conscious mind might rationally understand that a particular behavior is harmful or no longer serves you. But if that behavior has been deeply encoded in your subconscious through years of repetition, your subconscious will continue to execute it automatically unless you make a sustained, conscious effort to create new patterns. The relationship between the conscious and subconscious mind is not one of hierarchy, with the conscious mind as the boss and the subconscious as the obedient servant. Instead, it is more like a partnership, or perhaps even a complex negotiation. Your conscious mind sets goals, makes plans, and directs attention. Your subconscious mind executes those plans, but it also influences them in subtle ways, nudging your conscious thoughts toward certain options, triggering emotional responses that color your decisions, and occasionally overriding your conscious intentions when it perceives a threat or opportunity that requires immediate response. Understanding this partnership is crucial because it helps explain why human behavior is often so paradoxical. You can consciously want one thing while subconsciously pursuing another. You can make a rational decision with your conscious mind, only to find yourself sabotaging that decision through subconscious behaviors. This is not a failure of willpower or character. It is simply the result of two different systems operating with different information, different priorities, and different timescales. Your conscious mind lives in the present moment and thinks about the future. Your subconscious mind is largely shaped by the past, by the patterns and associations it has learned through experience. When these two systems are aligned, working toward the same goal with compatible strategies, humans can accomplish remarkable things. When they are in conflict, the result is the kind of internal struggle that so many people find frustrating and confusing. The subconscious mind is also the keeper of your implicit memory, all the knowledge and skills you have acquired that you can demonstrate but cannot fully explain. You know how to ride a bicycle, but you probably cannot describe in precise detail the physical movements and balance adjustments required. You can recognize thousands of faces, but you would struggle to articulate the specific features that allow you to distinguish one person from another. You understand the grammar of your native language well enough to construct complex sentences, yet you likely cannot state the rules you are following. All of this knowledge resides in your subconscious, accessible through action, but not easily translated into conscious, verbal form. As we continue our journey tonight, keep in mind this fundamental insight. You are not primarily a conscious being who happens to have some subconscious processes running in the background. You are primarily a subconscious being whose vast inner processes occasionally break through into the narrow spotlight of conscious awareness. Your conscious experience, that sense of being a thinking, choosing, aware individual, is like the visible tip of an enormous iceberg, beautiful and important, but representing only a tiny fraction of the massive structure beneath the surface. Understanding the subconscious is therefore not about exploring some obscure corner of your mind. It is about understanding the foundational system that makes you who you are. The decision maker, how your subconscious chooses before you know. One of the most striking discoveries in modern neuroscience concerns the relationship between consciousness and decision making. For most of human history, people assumed that the sequence was obvious. You become aware of a choice, you consciously deliberate, and then you make a decision. Consciousness seemed to be the source of free will, the place where genuine choice happens. But a series of groundbreaking experiments over the past few decades has revealed a more complex and somewhat unsettling reality. Your subconscious mind often makes decisions before your conscious mind becomes aware of them, and the conscious experience of choosing may be more like a narrator describing events that have already been set in motion than a director actively controlling what happens next. The most famous research in this area comes from John Dylan Haynes and his colleagues at the Bernstein Center for Computational Neuroscience in Berlin. In a study that sent ripples through both neuroscience and philosophy, Haynes used brain imaging technology to monitor the neural activity of participants as they made simple decisions, such as pressing a button with their left hand or their right hand at a moment of their own choosing. The participants were instructed to note the exact moment when they became consciously aware of their decision, when they felt themselves choosing left or right. What Haynes discovered was remarkable. By analyzing patterns of brain activity, he could predict which choice a participant would make up to 10 seconds before the person became consciously aware of having made that decision. Think about that for a moment. 10 seconds is not a brief flicker of time. It is long enough to read several sentences, to walk across a room, to have a short exchange with another person. Yet, during those 10 seconds, while the participant felt completely undecided and believed the choice still lay ahead of them, their subconscious mind had already committed to a particular action. The decision was encoded in the slowly building patterns of neural activity in specific brain regions involved in motor planning and action preparation. This finding does not mean that free will is an illusion, though philosophers continue to debate its implications. What it does reveal is that the conscious experience of decision-making, that moment when you feel yourself choosing, is not the moment when the choice originates. Instead, consciousness seems to arrive on the scene like a narrator who steps onto a stage just after the main plot twist has occurred, providing an explanation and sense of authorship for a choice that was already unfolding at a subconscious level. Your conscious mind experiences itself as the decision-maker, and in a sense it is because the subconscious processes leading to the decision are still your processes, still part of who you are. But the decision-making process itself is largely subconscious, with consciousness serving more as a quality control system that can occasionally veto or modify decisions rather than as the primary source of those decisions. The implications of this research extend far beyond the laboratory. Consider how you make choices in your daily life. When you are standing in front of a restaurant menu, you might spend time consciously weighing your options, thinking about what you are in the mood for, considering nutritional content or cost. But beneath that conscious deliberation, your subconscious is also at work. It is processing visual cues from the menu, recalling past experiences with similar foods, registering emotional associations with particular dishes, monitoring your body's current metabolic state, and integrating all of this information to generate subtle feelings of attraction or aversion toward different options. By the time you make your final choice, much of the work has already been done subconsciously, and your conscious deliberation is often just the final stage of a process that began much earlier. This becomes even more pronounced in the domain of consumer behavior. Marketers and advertisers have long understood intuitively what neuroscience is now confirming with hard data. Most purchasing decisions are driven by subconscious processes. Research suggests that approximately 90% of buying decisions are made subconsciously, meaning that consumers are often genuinely unaware of what truly influenced their choice. When asked why they bought a particular product, people will typically offer rational explanations involving price, quality, or features. But in many cases, the real drivers were subconscious factors like brand familiarity, emotional associations, color psychology, or subtle social cues. The speed advantage of the subconscious is crucial here. In a busy shopping environment, your conscious mind cannot possibly evaluate every product, read every label, and make a careful, rational decision about each purchase. So your subconscious takes over, making rapid judgments based on learned patterns and associations. This is why repetition is such a powerful tool in advertising. Every time you see a brand logo or hear a jingle, even if you are not paying conscious attention, your subconscious is registering that information and building familiarity. Later, when you are faced with a choice between two similar products, one familiar and one unfamiliar, your subconscious will often nudge you toward the familiar option, generating a vague, positive feeling that your conscious mind interprets as a preference based on quality or some other rational factor. Color psychology operates through similar mechanisms. Fast food chains famously use red and yellow in their branding because research has shown that these colors can subconsciously trigger feelings of hunger and excitement. You do not consciously think, "I see red and yellow, therefore I am hungry." Instead, your subconscious processes the color information and subtly adjusts your physiological state and emotional tone in ways that make you slightly more likely to feel hungry or to make an impulsive purchase. The effect is real and measurable, but it operates entirely below the threshold of conscious awareness. Even more sophisticated are the ways in which your subconscious evaluates social information. When you meet someone for the first time, your conscious mind might focus on the content of what they are saying, their credentials, or their stated intentions. Meanwhile, your subconscious is processing a torrent of nonverbal cues. Their facial microexpressions, body language, tone of voice, pupil dilation, skin flush, and dozens of other subtle signals. It integrates all of this information into a gut feeling about whether this person is trustworthy, confident, interested, or potentially dangerous. Often, your subconscious assessment is more accurate than your conscious analysis because it is drawing on a much richer data set and comparing it against patterns learned from thousands of previous social interactions. This is why you sometimes meet someone and immediately feel uneasy without being able to articulate why. Your conscious mind might tell you that the person seems perfectly friendly and normal, but your subconscious has detected something in their behavior, a mismatch between their words and their nonverbal signals, a tension in their voice, a pattern that resembles someone from your past who proved untrustworthy, and it generates a warning signal that reaches your conscious mind as a vague sense of discomfort or distrust. Mountain climbers and other people who regularly face high-risk situations learn to pay close attention to these subconscious signals, to trust their gut feelings even when they cannot rationally explain them, because experience teaches that the subconscious often picks up on subtle dangers that the conscious mind misses. The fact that your subconscious makes decisions before you are aware of them also helps explain why changing behavior can be so difficult. If you want to break a habit or adopt a new behavior, it is not enough to consciously decide to change. You must also find ways to reprogram the subconscious patterns that drive the behavior. This is why willpower alone often fails. Your conscious mind makes a firm resolution, perhaps to stop eating junk food or to start exercising regularly. But your subconscious still has the old pattern encoded, and when you encounter the relevant trigger situation, your subconscious executes the habitual response before your conscious mind has a chance to intervene. By the time you become consciously aware of what you are doing, you are already halfway through eating the bag of chips or already skipping the workout. Successful behavior change, then, requires engaging the subconscious mind directly. This can happen through repeated practice, gradually building new subconscious patterns through conscious effort until those patterns become automatic. It can also happen through techniques like visualization, which allows you to mentally rehearse new behaviors in vivid detail, effectively training your subconscious to prepare for situations it has not yet encountered. It can involve changing your environment to remove triggers for unwanted behaviors and introduce cues for desired ones. The key insight is that lasting change requires changing not just what you consciously intend, but what your subconscious automatically does. As you lie there tonight, your subconscious is making countless small decisions. It is deciding how deeply to breathe, when to shift a position, which sounds in your environment to filter out, and which to attend to, which memories to surface, which thoughts to pursue. You are not aware of most of these decisions, and you do not need to be. But they are happening constantly, shaping your experience moment by moment. Understanding that your subconscious is not just a passive background system, but an active decision maker can be both humbling and empowering. It is humbling because it reveals how little of your mental life is under direct conscious control. It is empowering because it opens up new possibilities for influencing your own behavior and experience by learning to work with your subconscious rather than against it. The night shift, subconscious work during sleep. If there is one time when the distinction between conscious and subconscious mind becomes most apparent, it is during sleep. As you drift off each night, your conscious mind recedes, but your subconscious mind does not rest. In fact, in many ways, sleep is when the subconscious does some of its most important work. While your body lies still and your conscious awareness dissolves into dreams or darkness, your subconscious is busy managing the vital functions that keep you alive, consolidating the day's experiences into lasting memories, solving problems that stumped you during waking hours, and reorganizing neural connections in ways that will make you smarter and more capable when you wake. The subconscious never truly sleeps. It cannot because it is responsible for maintaining the basic life support systems of your body. Throughout the night, your subconscious monitors and regulates your heartbeat, ensuring that it maintains an appropriate rhythm and adjusts to the changing metabolic demands of different sleep stages. It controls your breathing, keeping your lungs expanding and contracting in steady cycles, adjusting the rate and depth automatically based on oxygen and carbon dioxide levels in your blood. It manages your digestion, coordinating the complex muscular contractions that move food through your intestines, and orchestrating the release of digestive enzymes and hormones. It regulates your body temperature, triggering subtle changes in blood flow and perspiration to keep you within a narrow optimal range. All of these vital functions continue seamlessly through the night without any need for conscious oversight. Indeed, it would be dangerous if they required conscious control. Imagine having to consciously remember to beat your heart or take each breath. You would not survive your first night of sleep. The autonomic nervous system, a key component of the subconscious mind, handles these tasks with exquisite precision, responding to subtle changes in your internal state and making constant micro-adjustments to maintain homeostasis. But the subconscious does far more during sleep than simply keep you alive. It also engages in complex cognitive processes that are essential for learning, memory, and mental health. One of the most important of these processes is memory consolidation. During your waking hours, you encounter an enormous amount of information, conversations you have, things you see, tasks you perform, thoughts that cross your mind. Your brain initially stores these experiences in a relatively fragile form of memory in the hippocampus, a structure in the medial temporal lobe that acts as a kind of temporary holding area. If these memories remained only in the hippocampus, they would be vulnerable to interference and decay. They need to be transferred to more permanent storage in the neocortex, the outer layers of the brain where long-term memories reside. This transfer process, called consolidation, happens primarily during sleep. As you sleep, your brain systematically replays recent experiences at high speed, reactivating the patterns of neural activity that occurred during the original events. This replay is not random. The subconscious selectively prioritizes memories based on their emotional significance, their novelty, and their relevance to your goals and concerns. Emotionally charged experiences are more likely to be consolidated, which makes evolutionary sense because emotions typically signal that something important happened, something worth remembering for the future. Novel information also receives preferential treatment because it represents new knowledge about the world that might be useful later. Different stages of sleep appear to specialize in consolidating different types of memories. Slow-wave sleep, the deepest stage of non-rapid eye movement sleep, characterized by large, slow oscillations in brain activity, seems particularly important for consolidating declarative memories, facts, events, and explicit knowledge. During slow-wave sleep, the hippocampus repeatedly reactivates recently encoded memories and plays them to the neocortex, gradually transferring the information and integrating it with existing knowledge. Over multiple nights, memories that initially depended on the hippocampus become increasingly stable in the neocortex and eventually can be recalled without hippocampal involvement at all. Rapid eye movement sleep, the stage most associated with vivid dreaming, appears to play a different but equally important role. REM sleep is characterized by brain activity that looks remarkably similar to waking brain activity, with fast, desynchronized electrical rhythms and intense activation in many cortical areas. But during REM sleep, the brain is effectively offline in terms of processing new external information, and instead is focused inward, processing and integrating existing memories. REM sleep seems particularly important for consolidating procedural memories, skills, habits, and motor learning, as well as for processing emotional memories and integrating recent experiences with older knowledge to extract general principles and patterns. The dreams you experience during REM sleep appear to be, at least in part, a side effect of this memory consolidation process. As your subconscious reactivates memories and combines them in various ways to strengthen connections and discover new associations. Fragments of these memories surface into conscious awareness in the bizarre, narrative form we call dreams. This is why dreams often contain elements from your recent experiences, the day residue that Sigmund Freud famously identified, mixed with older memories, concerns, and imaginative elements that reflect your brain's attempt to weave these fragments into a coherent story. Research has shown that people who dream about recently learned material often show better memory performance for that material after waking. In one striking study, participants who learned a complex maze navigation task and then dreamed about the maze during a subsequent nap showed significantly better performance when tested later compared to participants who did not dream about the maze. This suggests that dreaming about learning experiences is not just a passive replay, but may actually facilitate the consolidation and integration of those memories in ways that improve subsequent performance. The subconscious also uses sleep time for problem solving and creative thinking. There is a reason why people often talk about sleeping on a difficult decision, or waking up with the solution to a problem that had stumped them the day before. During REM sleep in particular, the brain seems to enter a state that favors making distant associations, connecting ideas that would not normally be linked during waking thought. The neurochemical environment of REM sleep is quite different from waking, with reduced levels of norepinephrine and serotonin and increased activity in brain areas involved in emotion and memory. This creates conditions where the normal constraints and logical rules that guide waking thought are relaxed, allowing for more fluid and creative combinations of ideas. Many famous discoveries and creative breakthroughs have been attributed to dreams or hypnagogic states, that transitional zone between waking and sleeping. Auguste Kekulé reportedly discovered the ring structure of the benzene molecule after dreaming of a snake biting its own tail. Dmitry Mendeleev claimed to have seen the arrangement of the periodic table in a dream. While these anecdotes are difficult to verify and may be somewhat embellished, they point to a real phenomenon. The subconscious mind during sleep can make connections and solve problems that elude the conscious mind during waking hours. The hormone cortisol plays an interesting role in shaping the nature of dreams and memory consolidation across the sleep cycle. Cortisol levels follow a predictable pattern, lowest in the early night and gradually rising toward morning. This escalating concentration of cortisol influences the functional status of brain circuits involved in memory, particularly the interaction between the hippocampus and the neocortex. Early in the night, when cortisol levels are low and slow-wave sleep predominates, the focus is on transferring memories from hippocampus to neocortex. Later in the night, as cortisol rises and REM periods become longer and more intense, the focus shifts toward integrating these consolidated memories with existing knowledge and emotional processing. This also helps explain why dreams change in character across the night. Dreams from early slow-wave sleep tend to be more thought-like, fragmentary, and often contain recent episodic memories in relatively straightforward form. Dreams from late-night REM sleep tend to be more bizarre, emotional, and narrative, with recent experiences mixed and blended with older memories in ways that would be impossible in waking life. You might find yourself in a childhood home talking to a current coworker or experiencing a familiar situation with strange, impossible elements woven in. These bizarre qualities are not random noise, but reflect the subconscious mind's efforts to find meaningful connections across different memories and time periods, integrating new experiences into the broader structure of your existing knowledge and identity. Understanding the subconscious work that happens during sleep helps explain why sleep is so essential for mental and physical health. When you are sleep deprived, you are not just tired. You are also depriving your subconscious of the time it needs to consolidate memories, process emotions, solve problems, and maintain physiological balance. This is why sleep deprivation impairs learning, reduces emotional regulation, weakens immune function, and increases the risk of numerous health problems. Your subconscious needs those hours of sleep to do its nightly maintenance and optimization work. And when it is denied that time, the consequences accumulate quickly. As you rest tonight, your subconscious will be hard at work. It will take the experiences of your day, the conversations, the sights, the thoughts, and begin the process of deciding which are worth keeping and integrating into your permanent store of knowledge. It will strengthen some neural connections and weaken others, gradually sculpting your brain into a slightly different form that reflects what you have learned. It will work through emotional experiences, processing feelings, and perhaps providing you with dreams that help you make sense of challenging situations. And it will maintain your body, keeping your heart beating steadily, your breath flowing smoothly, your temperature balanced, all while you rest peacefully, unaware of the incredible amount of work happening in the silent depths of your mind. The pattern recognizer, subconscious categories and sorting. One of the most remarkable capabilities of your subconscious mind is its ability to organize the chaotic flood of experience into meaningful patterns and categories, all without any conscious effort or awareness on your part. Every moment of every day, you encounter an overwhelming stream of sensory information, sights, sounds, smells, touches, tastes, along with internal sensations, thoughts, and emotions. If you tried to consciously process and categorize all of this information, you would be instantly overwhelmed. But your subconscious handles it effortlessly, automatically sorting experiences into categories, detecting patterns, and organizing your mental life in ways that allow you to navigate the world with fluid efficiency. Researchers at Princeton University discovered a particularly fascinating aspect of this subconscious categorization system. They found that the brain organizes experiences into events, discrete units of experience that feel somehow unified and distinct from what came before and what comes after, based on something called shared temporal context. This means your brain groups together elements that tend to appear near each other in time, creating mental categories based on temporal relationships, rather than any obvious similarity in the elements themselves. Think about your daily routine. You probably do not consciously divide your day into separate events, but your brain does it automatically. Making breakfast is one event. Your commute to work is another. A meeting with colleagues is a third. Each event encompasses many different sensory experiences, actions, and objects that might seem quite different from each other. Making breakfast might involve the smell of coffee, the sound of a toaster, the feel of a cold refrigerator handle, the taste of butter, the sight of sunlight through a window. These sensory elements have nothing obvious in common, but your subconscious links them together because they reliably occur near each other in time during your morning routine. The Princeton researchers demonstrated this by showing participants abstract symbols and patterns that had no intrinsic similarity. Some symbols were repeatedly presented together during a learning phase, creating temporal associations even though the symbols themselves bore no resemblance to each other. Later, when researchers measured brain activity, they found that neurons responded in overlapping, similar ways to symbols that had been temporally associated during learning, even though those symbols looked completely different. The brain had created an unconscious category linking these symbols together based purely on their temporal relationship. This explains something that might have puzzled you at times: why certain objects or experiences feel like they naturally belong together even when you cannot quite explain why. Why does the smell of sunscreen immediately evoke thoughts of beaches, swimming, and summer vacations? Because your subconscious has learned that these sensory elements often appear together in time, and it has automatically grouped them into a single mental category. This temporal association system allows your brain to predict what is likely to happen next in familiar situations, to anticipate which objects and events are relevant to your current context, and to retrieve appropriate memories and knowledge without requiring any conscious search. The subconscious is also remarkably good at a capability called ensemble coding, the ability to extract summary statistics from groups of items without consciously perceiving the individual items. This has been demonstrated in numerous experiments where participants view displays containing many faces or many dots presented too quickly for conscious processing. Even though participants cannot consciously identify or describe individual faces or dots, they can accurately estimate the average emotional expression of the group of faces or the approximate number and size of the dots. Their subconscious has somehow rapidly processed all of the individual items, extracted the statistical properties of the ensemble, and delivered that summary information to consciousness without the individual details ever reaching awareness. This ensemble coding operates continuously in your daily life. When you walk into a crowded room, you immediately get a general sense of the mood and atmosphere, even though you have not consciously looked at every face or listened to every conversation. Your subconscious samples the environment, extracts the average emotional tone, and presents you with an overall impression that feels immediate and intuitive. This allows you to rapidly assess social situations and adjust your own behavior accordingly, all without the slow, laborious process of consciously evaluating each individual element. Another fascinating aspect of subconscious pattern recognition is its ability to detect even subtle statistical regularities in sequences of events. This has been extensively studied in the context of language learning. When infants are learning their native language, they face what seems like an impossible task. They hear continuous streams of sound with no obvious markers indicating where one word ends and another begins. Yet somehow, they learn to segment this continuous stream into discrete words, and they do it largely through subconscious statistical learning. The subconscious tracks which sound combinations tend to appear together frequently, and which combinations rarely occur. Syllables that belong to the same word typically appear adjacent to each other very often, while syllables that cross word boundaries appear together less frequently. By tracking these statistical patterns over thousands of exposures, the subconscious gradually learns where the word boundaries are, all without any conscious effort or explicit instruction. By the time a child can consciously think about language and words, their subconscious has already spent months or years extracting the statistical structure of their native language from the ambient speech around them. This same principle applies to countless other domains. Your subconscious is constantly tracking statistical patterns in your environment, learning which events tend to follow which other events, which cues predict which outcomes, which actions lead to which consequences. This learned statistical structure shapes your intuitions, your expectations, and your automatic responses to situations. When something violates these learned patterns, when an event occurs that does not fit the statistical regularities your subconscious has extracted, you experience a sense of surprise or wrongness, even if you cannot consciously articulate what is unusual about the situation. Researchers have tested this using cleverly constructed images that contain semantic anomalies, objects that do not belong in their context. For example, an image of a kitchen might contain a drum kit in the corner, or a street scene might include an elephant standing on the sidewalk. When these anomalous images are presented very briefly using masking techniques that prevent conscious perception, people still show physiological responses indicating that something was wrong, even though they cannot consciously identify what it was. The subconscious has learned that certain objects go together and others do not, and it signals a violation of these expectations even when the image never reaches conscious awareness. This subconscious pattern recognition system is both incredibly powerful and potentially limiting. It is powerful because it allows you to navigate a complex world efficiently, drawing on accumulated experience to recognize situations, predict outcomes, and respond appropriately without needing to consciously figure everything out from scratch each time. But it can also be limiting, because the patterns learned by your subconscious reflect your particular experiences and the environment you grew up in, and those patterns may not always be accurate or appropriate in different contexts. Stereotypes and implicit biases are, in part, the result of this subconscious pattern recognition system. If your environment has exposed you to certain correlations between social categories and traits or behaviors, your subconscious will learn those patterns just as readily as it learns patterns in language or visual scenes. These learned associations can then influence your behavior and judgments in ways you are not consciously aware of, even when they contradict your conscious values and beliefs. Understanding that these biases operate at a subconscious level is crucial for addressing them, because it means that conscious good intentions are not enough. You must actively work to provide your subconscious with different experiences and patterns that can gradually reshape these learned associations. The subconscious categorization system also influences memory in fundamental ways. When you try to remember an experience, you are not retrieving a perfect recording. Instead, you are reconstructing the experience based partly on genuine memory traces and partly on the categories, schemas, and patterns your subconscious has learned. If you remember a camping trip, for example, your memory will be influenced not only by what actually happened on that specific trip, but also by your general knowledge about what camping trips typically involve. Your subconscious fills in details based on category-typical information, which is why memories can sometimes include elements that never actually occurred, but fit the general pattern of that type of experience. As you lie there in the quiet, your subconscious continues its endless work of pattern recognition and categorization. It is processing the sounds around you, categorizing them as threatening or harmless, familiar or novel. It is monitoring your body's sensations, sorting them into categories that indicate comfort or discomfort, relaxation or tension. It is organizing the thoughts drifting through your mind, linking related ideas, retrieving relevant memories, preparing connections that might surface tomorrow in a moment of insight. All of this happens in the deep background of your awareness, a continuous process of making sense of experience that requires no effort from your conscious mind, yet fundamentally shapes how you experience and understand the world. The speed demon, processing power beyond imagination. To truly appreciate the subconscious mind, you need to understand just how astonishingly fast it operates. The difference in processing speed between your conscious and subconscious mind is not a matter of being slightly faster or even twice as fast. It is a difference so vast that it fundamentally changes the nature of what each system can accomplish. While your conscious mind plods along at a modest 40 bits per second, enough for a single coherent stream of thought, your subconscious tears through roughly 11 million bits of information every second. This is not hyperbole or metaphor. These are estimates derived from neuroscientific measurements of the information-carrying capacity of different neural systems. What does it mean to process 11 million bits per second? Consider what your sensory systems are delivering to your brain at every moment. Your eyes are not simple cameras capturing a single image. Each eye contains over 100 million photoreceptor cells, each responding to light and color in its specific location of your visual field. These cells are constantly firing, sending information through multiple stages of neural processing that detect edges, motion, colors, textures, and countless other features. The optic nerve connecting each eye to your brain contains about 1 million nerve fibers, and each is capable of transmitting thousands of signals per second. The total bandwidth of information flowing from your eyes to your brain every second is immense, far exceeding what any conscious processing could handle. But your eyes are just the beginning. Your ears are simultaneously processing complex acoustic information, analyzing frequencies, timing, and spatial location of sounds. Your skin is reporting touch, pressure, temperature, and pain from millions of receptors across your entire body surface. Your muscles and joints are constantly signaling their position and tension. Your internal organs are sending information about their state and needs. Your vestibular system is tracking your head position and acceleration in three-dimensional space. All of this information flows into your brain every moment of every day, a torrent of sensory data that would overwhelm any conceivable conscious processing system. The subconscious mind handles it all. It takes this massive influx of information and processes it in parallel across distributed networks of neurons. It filters out the familiar and focuses on what is new or important. It compares current input against stored patterns to recognize objects, faces, sounds, and situations. It extracts statistical regularities and anomalies. It prepares motor responses. It updates memory and learning systems. And it does all of this continuously, simultaneously, and automatically without requiring any conscious attention or effort. This processing speed is what allows the subconscious to perform feats that seem almost magical from a conscious perspective. Consider the automatic perception behavior link, a phenomenon that has been extensively studied in social psychology. When you observe someone else performing an action, neurons in your premotor cortex, called mirror neurons, become active. These neurons fire both when you perform an action yourself and when you watch someone else perform the same action. This creates a direct, automatic link between perception and behavior that operates far faster than any conscious imitation could. The result is unconscious mimicry. When you are talking with someone, you automatically and unconsciously tend to adopt their posture, their gestures, their facial expressions, and even their speech patterns. You mirror their body language without any conscious intention to do so. Your subconscious processes the visual information of their behavior and automatically triggers corresponding motor programs in your own body. This mimicry typically facilitates social bonding and rapport, which makes evolutionary sense. Groups whose members automatically coordinated their behavior would have been more cohesive and cooperative than groups lacking this automatic synchronization. But the speed of this process is crucial. If you had to consciously notice someone's posture and then consciously decide to match it, the mimicry would be slow, awkward, and obvious. Because it happens subconsciously and automatically, it is fluid and natural, occurring within a fraction of a second of observing the other person's behavior. This creates a subtle dance of mutual influence where each person's behavior continuously affects the other, generating coordinated patterns that neither person consciously plans or notices. The subconscious speed is also essential for survival. Imagine you are walking down a street and something flashes in your peripheral vision, moving rapidly toward you. Your subconscious processes this information and initiates a defensive response, flinching, raising your arms, or jumping back, all within a few hundred milliseconds. Only after you have already started moving do you become consciously aware of the threat and begin to rationally evaluate what it is and how dangerous it might be. If you had to wait for conscious processing before responding, you would be much more vulnerable to fast-moving dangers like attacks, falling, objects, or approaching vehicles. This is vividly illustrated by research on people who have suffered brain damage that eliminates conscious vision in one eye while leaving a deeper subconscious pathway intact. These patients report being completely blind in the affected eye. If you show them an object in that eye's visual field, they insist they see nothing. Yet their behavior suggests otherwise. When researchers presented fearful faces to the blind eye while showing happy faces to the sighted eye, these patients showed faster reaction times and heightened alertness, even though they were not consciously aware of seeing the fearful face. This happens because there is a subconscious pathway from the eyes directly to the amygdala, a deep brain structure involved in fear and threat detection. This pathway bypasses the visual cortex entirely, which is why the patients have no conscious visual experience. But the pathway can still process basic visual information, particularly emotionally significant information like fearful facial expressions, and trigger appropriate responses. Fear on someone else's face is a signal that danger may be present. Evolution has given us a high-speed subconscious system that can respond to this signal without waiting for slow conscious analysis that might arrive too late to be useful. The speed of subconscious processing also enables what psychologists call priming effects, where exposure to one stimulus influences your response to a subsequent stimulus in ways you are not consciously aware of. In a classic demonstration, participants who are briefly shown words related to elderly stereotypes, words like gray, wrinkle, or retirement, subsequently walk more slowly down a hallway, even though they are not consciously aware of having seen those words or forming any thoughts about elderly people. The subconscious processing of the words activated associated concepts and behaviors, which then influenced physical movement without any conscious mediation. These priming effects can be remarkably subtle and specific. Researchers have found that just a fraction of a second of exposure to a stimulus, so brief that participants are not consciously aware of seeing it, can still influence subsequent behavior, judgments, and decisions. Studies show that we need at least 0.047 seconds to register facial expressions in an image. Information presented for less time than this still gets processed subconsciously, but it never reaches conscious awareness. Yet, this subconscious processing is sufficient to influence emotional responses, preferences, and choices made seconds or minutes later. The consumer behavior implications are significant. Every time you pass by an advertisement, even if you do not consciously notice or attend to it, your subconscious is processing the information. Brand logos, color schemes, emotional imagery, and slogans are all being registered and associated with the product. Over many exposures, these subconscious impressions accumulate into feelings of familiarity and positive association that can influence your purchasing decisions without you ever being aware of the source of your preference. This is why advertisers are willing to pay enormous sums for brief glimpses of their products in movies, shows, or public spaces. They understand that subconscious exposure is valuable even when it never reaches conscious attention. But perhaps most impressive is how the subconscious integrates information across all of these different processing streams into a unified, coherent experience. At every moment, you have a sense of being a single person in a particular place with a particular perspective on the world. Yet, this unified experience is constructed from countless separate neural processes. Visual processing in the occipital lobe, auditory processing in the temporal lobe, body sensation in the parietal lobe, emotional processing in limbic structures, memory retrieval from the hippocampus and cortex, language processing in frontal and temporal regions, and on and on. All of these different streams of processing are happening simultaneously in different parts of your brain, and somehow they all come together into a single conscious experience. This integration, this binding of separate features and processes into unified perception and experience, happens subconsciously. You are never aware of the separate processes. You experience only the integrated result. The fact that the subconscious can coordinate and integrate information across so many different neural systems so quickly and seamlessly is one of its most remarkable achievements, and one that we are only beginning to understand. As you rest here, your subconscious is handling that immense processing load as it does every second of your life. It is tracking the feeling of the pillow under your head, the temperature of the air on your skin, the sounds in your environment, the thoughts drifting through your mind. It is maintaining your balance and posture even as you lie still. It is monitoring your internal state and making adjustments to keep everything in equilibrium. And it is doing all of this in parallel, at speeds that would be impossible for conscious thought, operating with an efficiency and sophistication that our most advanced artificial intelligence systems are still nowhere close to matching. The subconscious mind is not a secondary system or a primitive backup. It is a computational marvel running at full capacity every moment of your life. The memory architect. How the subconscious shapes what we remember. Your memory does not work like a video recording that captures experience and stores it for later playback. Instead, memory is a dynamic, reconstructive process shaped profoundly by your subconscious mind. From the moment an experience occurs, your subconscious is making decisions about what to encode, how to organize it, and how to integrate it with your existing knowledge. When you later try to remember that experience, your subconscious is once again actively involved, reconstructing the memory from fragments and filling in gaps based on schemas, expectations, and general knowledge. Understanding how the subconscious shapes memory helps explain both the remarkable capabilities and the curious limitations of human memory. The process begins with encoding, the initial registration of an experience in memory. Not everything you experience gets encoded. Your subconscious continuously evaluates incoming information and makes rapid decisions about what is worth remembering. This evaluation is based on several factors. Emotionally significant events receive priority because emotions are generally reliable signals that something important happened, something that might be relevant for future survival or well-being. Novel information also gets preferential encoding because it represents new knowledge about the world that could be useful. Information that is relevant to your current goals and concerns is more likely to be encoded than irrelevant information. This selective encoding happens automatically and subconsciously. You do not consciously decide which experiences to remember. Your subconscious makes these decisions for you based on learned associations and priorities. This is why you might have difficulty remembering mundane details from your day, but vividly recall an unexpected event or an emotionally charged conversation. Your subconscious determined that the surprising or emotional event was worth encoding strongly, while the routine details did not meet the threshold for significant memory allocation. Once encoded, memories undergo consolidation, the process of stabilizing and integrating them into long-term storage. As we explored in the section on sleep, consolidation happens primarily during sleep, particularly during slow-wave sleep and REM sleep. But the subconscious continues to shape memory even after initial consolidation. Memories are not static entities stored in a mental filing cabinet. They are patterns of neural connectivity that can be modified each time they are accessed. This is where the reconstructive nature of memory becomes particularly important. When you try to remember an experience, you are not simply retrieving a stored record. Instead, your subconscious is actively reconstructing the memory from various pieces of information distributed across your brain. Some of these pieces are genuine traces of the original experience. Others are schema-based reconstructions based on your general knowledge about what typically happens in similar situations. Your subconscious blends these different sources together seamlessly, and you experience the result as a unified memory without any awareness of the construction process. This reconstruction process means that memories can change over time. Each time you recall a memory, you are essentially rebuilding it. And during that rebuilding process, new information can become incorporated. If you recall a memory while in a particular emotional state, elements of that emotional state can become part of the memory, coloring your recollection. If someone suggests a detail that was not originally present, your subconscious might incorporate that suggestion into your reconstruction, and you will later remember the suggested detail as part of the original experience. This is not a flaw or weakness of memory. It is actually an adaptive feature that allows memories to remain relevant and useful. Instead of storing rigid, unchanging records of past events, your memory system stores flexible representations that can be updated with new information and adjusted to be more consistent with your current knowledge and understanding. This flexibility allows you to learn from experience, to recognize patterns across multiple events, and to extract general principles that can guide future behavior. The subconscious also plays a crucial role in what psychologists call implicit memory, knowledge that influences your behavior without conscious awareness. When you learn a skill like riding a bicycle or playing a musical instrument, the specific procedures and movements become embedded in implicit memory. You can execute these skills fluently without consciously thinking about each step. If someone asks you to explain exactly how you maintain balance on a bicycle, or how you finger a particular chord on a guitar, you might struggle to articulate the details, even though your body knows how to do it perfectly. This procedural knowledge is stored subconsciously and operates largely outside of conscious access. Similarly, your emotional responses are shaped by implicit emotional memories that operate subconsciously. If you had a frightening experience with a dog as a child, you might feel anxious around dogs as an adult without consciously remembering the original incident. The emotional association has been stored implicitly, and it influences your feelings and behavior, even though the episodic memory of the specific event may be inaccessible. This is one reason why phobias and anxiety disorders can be so puzzling and difficult to treat. The emotional response is being triggered by subconscious memory systems that operate independently of conscious recollection. The subconscious also creates what researchers call false memories, recollections of events that never actually happened. This is not necessarily the result of lying or deliberate fabrication. Instead, false memories arise naturally from the reconstructive memory process. Your subconscious might combine elements from multiple real experiences, incorporate details from stories you heard or movies you watched, or generate plausible details based on schemas and expectations. If these constructed memories are vivid and emotionally compelling, they can feel just as real as genuine memories. You have no direct way to distinguish between memories that correspond to real experiences and memories that are subconscious constructions. This has important implications for eyewitness testimony in legal contexts. Eyewitnesses often testify with great confidence about events they witnessed, but research has repeatedly shown that even confident eyewitness memories can be inaccurate. The subconscious reconstruction process is vulnerable to influence from leading questions, post-event information, stress, and the passage of time. An eyewitness might genuinely believe they remember a suspect wearing a blue shirt, but that detail might have been subtly suggested during questioning or inferred based on expectations, rather than being a genuine trace of what they actually saw. Understanding the subconscious nature of memory construction also helps explain childhood amnesia, the inability to consciously recall events from the first few years of life. Young children certainly do form memories. They learn language, recognize faces, and acquire countless skills and knowledge. But these early memories seem to be encoded primarily in implicit, subconscious forms. The neural systems that support explicit, conscious recollection of specific autobiographical events develop gradually during childhood. So, while your early experiences profoundly shaped who you are, influencing your attachment patterns, emotional responses, and learned behaviors through implicit memory systems, you cannot consciously recall these experiences as explicit episodes from your personal past. The subconscious also implements what psychologists call memory biases, systematic distortions in how experiences are remembered. For example, the consistency bias leads people to remember their past beliefs and attitudes as being more similar to their current beliefs than they actually were. This happens because when you reconstruct a memory of a past belief, your subconscious is influenced by your current perspective, and it subtly adjusts the remembered belief to be more consistent with what you think now. This makes your personal narrative feel more coherent, but at the cost of accuracy about how much you have actually changed over time. The rosy retrospection bias leads people to remember past events as more positive than they actually were at the time. Your subconscious tends to preserve the pleasant aspects of experiences and allow negative elements to fade, particularly for distant memories. This is why old photographs or journal entries can sometimes be surprising, reminding you of difficulties or negative emotions that you had completely forgotten. Your subconscious has been gradually rewriting your personal history to be more pleasant, which might serve the useful function of maintaining a positive, overall life narrative and sense of identity. As you lie there tonight, your subconscious is working on your memories. It is consolidating experiences from today, deciding which moments are worth keeping and integrating them with your existing store of knowledge. It is weakening connections that are no longer used and strengthening patterns that have been recently activated. It is linking related memories together, creating associations that might surface tomorrow as a sudden realization or a curious coincidence. Your memories are not fixed records, but living, evolving patterns that your subconscious continuously shapes and reshapes. What you will remember of today when you wake tomorrow, and what you will remember a year from now, is being determined right now by processes happening entirely outside your conscious awareness, in the depths of your subconscious mind. The literal interpreter. Why the subconscious takes everything at face value. One of the most important and least understood characteristics of the subconscious mind is that it processes information literally. Unlike your conscious mind, which understands context, metaphor, and nuance, your subconscious tends to take things at face value. It responds to the surface meaning of words, images, and experiences without the sophisticated interpretive filtering that conscious thought provides. This literal processing has profound implications for how your subconscious is shaped by language, self-talk, and the media you consume. When you tell yourself something, your conscious mind understands the context and intention behind the statement. If you say to yourself, "I am so stupid." After making a mistake, your conscious mind knows you are expressing frustration, not making a literal assessment of your intelligence. But your subconscious does not make this distinction. It hears the statement, "I am stupid," and registers it as information about who you are. If you repeatedly tell yourself negative things, even casually or sarcastically, your subconscious accumulates these statements and incorporates them into its model of your identity and capabilities. This is why affirmations, when used consistently, can influence behavior and self-perception. Affirmations are simply positive statements about yourself that you repeat regularly. To the conscious mind, especially the skeptical, rational conscious mind, affirmations might seem silly or ineffective. You know your current situation, and simply repeating that you are confident or successful does not magically make it true. But affirmations are not really aimed at the conscious mind. They are aimed at the subconscious, which does not evaluate truth value or plausibility in the same way the conscious mind does. The subconscious simply registers the repeated statement and gradually adjusts its patterns to be more consistent with that statement. This does not mean you can think yourself into a completely different reality through positive thinking alone. But it does mean that repeated self-statements, whether positive or negative, influence the subconscious patterns that shape your automatic thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. If you consistently tell yourself you are capable and worthy, your subconscious will gradually develop patterns consistent with that self-concept, making you more likely to take on challenges, persist through difficulties, and notice opportunities. If you consistently tell yourself you are incompetent and doomed to fail, your subconscious develops different patterns that make you more likely to avoid challenges, give up easily, and overlook opportunities. The literal processing of the subconscious also means it responds to visualization and mental imagery very powerfully. When you vividly imagine doing something, your subconscious activates many of the same neural patterns that would be active if you were actually doing it. This is the basis for mental rehearsal techniques used by athletes, musicians, and performers. By mentally practicing a skill in detailed, vivid imagery, you are actually training your subconscious and building the neural patterns needed for that skill, even though you are not physically moving. Research has demonstrated that mental practice can improve physical performance. In one classic study, people who practiced piano finger exercises mentally, without touching a keyboard, showed improvement in their ability to play those exercises, though not as much improvement as people who practiced physically. Remarkably, they also showed changes in the motor cortex of the brain, the area responsible for controlling finger movements. The mental practice alone was sufficient to induce neural changes. This works because the subconscious processes the vivid mental imagery almost as if it were real experience, activating motor programs and strengthening connections. The subconscious also responds literally to imagery in dreams and hypnagogic states, those transitional moments between waking and sleeping. This is why some people have successfully used directed imagery before sleep to solve problems or enhance creativity. Thomas Edison famously used a technique where he would sit in a chair holding a ball bearing while thinking about a problem. As he began to drift into sleep, his hand would relax and the ball bearing would drop, waking him. He would then immediately record whatever images or ideas had appeared in that transitional state. He found that this liminal consciousness often produced insights that eluded his waking rational mind. The subconscious processing during that transition could make novel connections, and because it processed imagery literally and directly, those insights could be captured before the more skeptical conscious mind dismissed them as irrelevant. The literal processing of the subconscious also makes it vulnerable to influence through subtle environmental cues and framing. This is extensively exploited in advertising and marketing. Marketers know that if they can bypass the conscious mind's skeptical evaluation and speak directly to the subconscious through imagery, emotion, and association, they can influence behavior much more effectively. This is why so many advertisements focus not on logical arguments about product quality, but on emotional imagery that creates associations between the product and positive feelings, success, attractiveness, or belonging. The subconscious registers these associations literally. When you see an advertisement showing happy, attractive people using a product, your subconscious links the product with happiness and attractiveness. Later, when you encounter the product in a store, your subconscious retrieves those associations and generates positive feelings, and you experience this as simply liking the product or finding it appealing without necessarily remembering the advertisement or consciously recognizing the source of your preference. Even the language used to describe things can influence subconscious processing in predictable ways. Research on framing effects has shown that how information is presented, the specific words chosen, the context provided, can dramatically affect decisions and judgments, even when the underlying facts are identical. If a medical procedure is described as having a 90% survival rate, people evaluate it more positively than if it is described as having a 10% mortality rate, even though these are mathematically equivalent statements. The subconscious responds to the literal framing, registering survival as positive and mortality as negative, and this colors the overall evaluation. Understanding the literal nature of subconscious processing has practical implications for how you talk to yourself and what information you expose yourself to. The stories you consume, whether in books, movies, television, or social media, are processed by your subconscious as if they were real experiences to some degree. Your subconscious does not make a sharp distinction between fictional narratives and real events when it comes to emotional processing and extracting patterns about how the world works. If you consistently consume media that portrays the world as dangerous and threatening, your subconscious will develop heightened threat detection patterns that can increase anxiety and vigilance even in objectively safe environments. Similarly, the people you spend time with influence your subconscious through both explicit communication and subtle nonverbal cues. If you are surrounded by people who are consistently negative, critical, or pessimistic, your subconscious absorbs those patterns, and they can shape your own automatic thoughts and emotional responses. This is not about blame or manipulation. It is simply how the subconscious learns from its environment by treating social information as data about how to think, feel, and behave. The literal interpretation by the subconscious also means it can be difficult to unlearn negative patterns through conscious reasoning alone. Knowing intellectually that your anxious thoughts are irrational does not make them go away because those thoughts are being generated by subconscious patterns that were not formed through logical reasoning and cannot be dismantled purely through logical argument. You have to engage the subconscious more directly through techniques like exposure therapy, mindfulness meditation, cognitive behavioral exercises, or repeated practice of new responses, all of which work by gradually retraining the subconscious patterns themselves, rather than just talking to your conscious mind about them. As you rest here tonight, consider how you speak to yourself in your own mind. Consider what images and stories you fill your consciousness with. Your subconscious is always listening, always processing, always taking things more literally than you might realize. It is being shaped by your internal dialogue, by the media you consume, by the environments you inhabit. This is not something to feel anxious about, but it is something to be mindful of. By understanding how the subconscious processes information, you gain some influence over how it develops. You can choose to feed it information, imagery, and self-talk that supports the patterns you want to cultivate rather than reinforcing patterns that do not serve you. The silent influencer, priming and subliminal effects. For decades, researchers have been fascinated by the question of whether the subconscious can be influenced by stimuli that never reach conscious awareness. Can your behavior be shaped by information you never consciously perceived? The answer, supported by decades of careful research, is a qualified yes. The subconscious continuously processes information from your environment, and much of this processing happens below the threshold of conscious perception. This subliminal processing can influence your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors in subtle but measurable ways. The phenomenon is called priming, and it operates through automatic activation of mental associations. When your subconscious processes a stimulus, even one you do not consciously perceive, it activates related concepts in your mental network. These activated concepts then influence how you process subsequent information and guide your behavior, even though you are not aware of the original priming stimulus or the influence it is having. Some of the most striking demonstrations of priming come from studies where researchers present words or images so briefly that participants report seeing nothing but a flash or blur. These stimuli are presented for durations measured in milliseconds, far too brief for conscious processing. Yet even these subliminal presentations can influence subsequent behavior. In one classic study, participants who were subliminally primed with words related to hostility subsequently interpreted ambiguous behaviors as more hostile. Participants primed with words related to elderly stereotypes subsequently walked more slowly. Participants primed with achievement-related words performed better on subsequent tasks. The key finding across all these studies is that participants were genuinely unaware of the priming stimuli and denied any influence. They were not consciously trying to match their behavior to the prime. Instead, the subconscious processing of the prime automatically activated associated concepts and behavioral tendencies, which then influenced action without any conscious mediation. The threshold for subliminal influence is remarkably short. Studies show that presentations as brief as 7 milliseconds, less than a 20th of a second, are sufficient for subconscious processing to occur even though conscious perception requires longer exposure. This means your subconscious is constantly processing information that never reaches your conscious awareness, extracting meaning and being influenced by stimuli that exist only as fleeting fragments in the stream of sensory information flowing through your brain. This subliminal processing is particularly powerful for emotional information. The amygdala, a brain structure crucial for emotional processing and threat detection, receives direct sensory input that bypasses the cortical areas involved in conscious perception. This allows the amygdala to respond to emotionally significant stimuli extremely rapidly, generating emotional responses before you are consciously aware of what you are responding to. Research on patients with damage to their visual cortex has shown that even when they have no conscious visual experience, they still show amygdala responses to fearful faces presented to their blind visual field. The subconscious emotional processing pathway remains intact and functional. This is why you sometimes feel a sudden surge of anxiety or unease without knowing why. Your subconscious has detected something in the environment, perhaps a facial expression, a tone of voice, or a subtle change in someone's behavior, and it has triggered an emotional response before your conscious mind has processed what happened. You experience the emotion first, and only later, if at all, do you become consciously aware of what triggered it. The commercial applications of priming and subliminal influence have led to considerable hype and misconception. Stories circulate about advertisers embedding subliminal messages in media to control consumer behavior. Most of these stories are exaggerated or false. Subliminal priming can influence behavior, but the effects are typically subtle, context-dependent, and short-lived. You cannot be made to do something that violates your values or intentions through subliminal messaging. A subliminal flash of the word drink might make you slightly more likely to choose a beverage if you were already thirsty and in a position to make that choice. But it would not make you suddenly run out to buy a specific brand or drink something you found unpleasant. What is true, and what marketers do exploit, is that repeated exposure to brand information, even when not consciously attended, influences familiarity and preference. Every time you see a logo or brand name, even peripherally or briefly, your subconscious registers it. Over many exposures, this builds familiarity. And familiarity, processed subconsciously, creates a mild positive feeling that influences preferences and choices. This is why companies spend so much on simply getting their name and logo in front of people as often as possible. They are not trying to subliminally command you to buy their product. They are gradually building subconscious familiarity and positive association that will give them an edge when you are making purchasing decisions among similar options. Color is another domain where subliminal subconscious influence operates powerfully. Different colors trigger different psychological and physiological responses, and these responses happen automatically and subconsciously. Red and yellow, for instance, are known to stimulate appetite and create feelings of urgency, which is why so many fast food chains use these colors prominently in their branding. Blue tends to evoke feelings of trust and calm, which is why it is common in financial institutions and healthcare settings. These color associations are partly learned through cultural experience and partly based on deeper biological responses. Your subconscious processes color information and uses it to modulate your emotional state and behavior without requiring any conscious awareness of the influence. Priming effects also work through subtle environmental cues. The temperature of a room, the lighting, the presence of certain objects, even ambient scents can all prime particular thoughts and behaviors. Research has shown that people holding a warm drink judge others as warmer and more trustworthy than people holding a cold drink. People in rooms with business-related objects on display behave more competitively. People exposed to faint citrus scents clean more thoroughly. In each case, the environmental cue is processed subconsciously and activates associated concepts that then shape subsequent behavior. These findings reveal something profound about human behavior. We like to think of ourselves as rational agents, consciously choosing how to act based on deliberate consideration of our options. But a huge amount of behavior is actually shaped by subconscious processing of environmental cues, previous experiences, and subtle associations that never reach conscious awareness. We are constantly being influenced by priming effects that we do not notice and cannot consciously control. Does this mean we are helpless puppets, controlled by subliminal stimuli and subconscious processes? Not at all. Conscious awareness, while limited in processing capacity, has the power to override automatic subconscious responses when it is engaged and vigilant. If you are aware that environmental factors can prime certain behaviors, you can consciously notice those factors and deliberately choose to respond differently. The key is awareness. Subconscious influences are most powerful when we are unaware of them, when we mistakenly attribute our behavior to conscious choice while being guided by subliminal priming. When we become aware of these influences, we gain some ability to counteract them through conscious effort. Moreover, the mere act of bringing subconscious processes into conscious awareness can change how they operate. This is one reason why therapy and mindfulness practices can be effective. By learning to observe your own automatic thoughts and reactions, by becoming conscious of patterns that usually operate subconsciously, you create opportunities to choose different responses. You cannot eliminate subconscious influence, but you can develop a relationship with your subconscious where conscious awareness provides oversight and occasionally intervenes when automatic responses are not serving you well. As you drift towards sleep, your subconscious continues processing. It registers every sound, every sensation, every fleeting thought. Most of this processing will never reach your conscious mind, but it is happening nonetheless, shaping neural patterns, influencing what you will think and feel and do tomorrow. Understanding that you are always being influenced by subliminal processing is not cause for paranoia or anxiety. It is simply a fact about how minds work. What matters is developing enough conscious awareness to engage with these processes mindfully, to notice when your behavior seems to be guided by influences you do not fully understand, and to bring deliberate attention to choices that matter. The problem solver, unconscious arithmetic, and creativity. Your subconscious mind is not just a collection of automatic routines and learned associations. It is also a sophisticated problem solver capable of processing complex information and discovering solutions that elude conscious reasoning. Some of the most compelling evidence for subconscious problem solving comes from studies showing that people can solve mathematical and logical problems without any conscious awareness of doing so. Research by neuroscientists has demonstrated that the subconscious can perform arithmetic operations on numbers that are presented subliminally, too briefly for conscious perception. In these studies, participants are shown simple arithmetic problems like 2 plus 3 equals, with the numbers presented for only milliseconds, far too fast to consciously perceive. Yet when tested, participants show faster responses and different brain activity patterns for correct versus incorrect solutions, even though they report never seeing the numbers. Their subconscious processed the mathematical information, computed the answer, and registered whether subsequent answers were correct, all without conscious awareness. This unconscious arithmetic extends beyond simple addition. Studies have found evidence that the subconscious can evaluate approximate numerical magnitudes, compare numbers, and even perform basic and geometric reasoning. When people are shown subliminal displays of objects, their subconscious can estimate the average size, number, or emotional valence of the collection, even though they cannot consciously report seeing individual items. This ensemble processing allows the subconscious to extract statistical properties from complex displays almost instantaneously. But the problem-solving capabilities of the subconscious extend far beyond arithmetic. Some of the most important human breakthroughs in science, mathematics, art, and innovation have been attributed to unconscious processing. The classic pattern is that someone works intensely on a difficult problem, makes no progress, and then takes a break or goes to sleep. During this break, when conscious attention has moved away from the problem, the subconscious continues working. Connections form between distant concepts. Constraints that seemed absolute are relaxed. Different problem representations are tried, and suddenly, sometimes during the break or often immediately after sleep, the solution appears in consciousness, seemingly out of nowhere. This is what happened to Auguste Kekulé when he discovered the ring structure of the benzene molecule. He had been struggling with how carbon and hydrogen atoms could be arranged in benzene based on their known bonding patterns. While dozing before his fireplace, he dreamed of a snake seizing its own tail, forming a circle. Upon waking, he realized that benzene might have a ring structure rather than a linear one, a revelation that revolutionized organic chemistry. The dream did not give him the answer directly. Rather, his subconscious, freed from the constraints of waking logical thought, made a connection between the visual image of a circular snake and the chemical problem he was working on, providing a novel representation that allowed him to see the solution. Dmitry Mendeleev reported a similar experience with the periodic table of elements. After struggling to organize the elements by their properties, he fell asleep and dreamed of the complete arrangement. He woke and immediately wrote down the table almost exactly as we know it today. Again, the subconscious work during sleep allowed connections and patterns to emerge that conscious reasoning had not been able to discover. The subconscious excels at this kind of creative problem-solving because it operates differently from conscious thought. Conscious reasoning tends to be focused, logical, and constrained by explicit rules and assumptions. The subconscious is more diffuse, associative, and willing to make unusual connections. During sleep, particularly during REM sleep, the brain enters a neurochemical state that is very different from waking. Levels of norepinephrine and serotonin decrease dramatically, while acetylcholine remains high. This creates conditions where distant associations are more easily activated, and unusual combinations of ideas can form. Research on the so-called default mode network has helped illuminate how the subconscious solves problems during rest. The default network is a set of brain regions that become highly active when people are not focused on external tasks, when they are daydreaming, mind-wandering, or resting quietly. For many years, neuroscientists assumed this network was simply idling or that its activity was noise. But more recent research reveals that the default network is actively engaged in important cognitive functions, including memory consolidation, self-referential thinking, theory of mind, and creative problem-solving. When you let your mind wander, when you stop trying to consciously solve a problem and instead allow thoughts to drift, the default network takes over. It begins making connections between different memories and concepts, exploring the mental landscape in ways that focused attention does not. This is often when insights occur. Many people report that their best ideas come during activities that do not require much conscious attention. Walking, showering, doing routine chores, or lying in bed before sleep. These activities occupy conscious attention just enough to prevent rumination and worry, but leave the subconscious free to engage in its associative, creative processing. The incubation effect in creative problem-solving demonstrates this subconscious work empirically. When people work on a difficult problem, take a break, and then return to it, they often perform better than people who worked continuously without a break. The break allows subconscious processing to continue while conscious attention is directed elsewhere. During this incubation period, the subconscious may restructure the problem representation, discover new approaches, or make connections that were not apparent during focused conscious work. Interestingly, research suggests that the effectiveness of incubation depends on what you do during the break. Breaks that involve moderate cognitive engagement, activities that are mildly demanding but not related to the problem at hand, seem to produce the best incubation effects. This makes sense from the perspective of allowing the default network to engage without complete rest, but also without such demanding external tasks that all resources are consumed and none remain for subconscious problem solving. The subconscious also contributes to creativity through its ability to make remote associations. Creativity often involves connecting ideas that are not obviously related, seeing similarities between superficially different domains, or combining concepts in novel ways. The subconscious is particularly good at this because its associative networks are activated more diffusely than during focused conscious thought. Ideas that seem completely separate to conscious reasoning may be connected through subtle semantic or emotional associations that the subconscious can detect and use to form creative combinations. This is why so many creative techniques involve methods for accessing subconscious processing. Brainstorming encourages producing many ideas quickly without conscious evaluation, allowing subconscious associations to flow freely. Free writing or stream of consciousness techniques bypass the conscious editor and let subconscious thoughts appear directly. Meditation and mindfulness practices quiet busy conscious thought and create space for subconscious insights to surface. All of these approaches work by reducing the dominance of conscious, executive control and allowing more bottom-up, subconscious processes to influence thought and expression. Understanding the problem-solving power of the subconscious has practical implications. When you are stuck on a difficult problem, continuing to consciously force yourself to think harder is often ineffective. Instead, the better approach may be to step back, take a break, do something else, and trust that your subconscious will continue working on the problem in the background. This does not mean being passive or giving up. It means recognizing that effective problem solving involves both conscious analytical work and subconscious incubation, and that alternating between these modes is often more productive than sustained conscious effort alone. As your conscious mind drifts and quiets, your subconscious remains active. It continues processing, making connections, exploring possibilities. Problems you encountered today, questions that puzzled you, creative challenges you are facing. All of these continue to be worked on beneath the surface. Trust in this process. Some of your best insights will come not through forced conscious reasoning, but through allowing your subconscious the time and space to do what it does best. Discovering patterns, making unexpected connections, and solving problems through pathways that conscious thought cannot follow. The body-mind bridge, subconscious control of physical functions. The boundary between mind and body is far more permeable than our everyday experience suggests. Your subconscious mind serves as the crucial bridge between psychological processes and physical function, constantly translating thoughts and emotions into bodily changes and bodily states into feelings and moods. This bidirectional communication happens continuously and automatically, outside conscious awareness, and it has profound implications for both physical health and psychological well-being. The most obvious role of the subconscious in controlling the body is through the autonomic nervous system, which regulates all the basic life support functions. Your subconscious controls your heartbeat, adjusting its rate and force to meet the changing metabolic demands of your body. When you exercise, your heart automatically beats faster. When you rest, it slows. You do not consciously control this. Your subconscious handles it by monitoring signals from throughout your body about oxygen levels, carbon dioxide levels, blood pressure, and metabolic activity, and then adjusting cardiac output appropriately. Similarly, your breathing is regulated subconsciously. You can consciously control your breath for short periods, but most of the time breathing happens automatically. Your subconscious monitors chemical signals in your blood and adjusts breathing rate and depth to maintain optimal levels of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Digestion is entirely subconscious. The complex coordination of muscle contractions that move food through your digestive system, the release of enzymes and hormones at appropriate times, the absorption of nutrients, and elimination of waste, all of this is managed by your subconscious without any need for conscious involvement. Body temperature regulation is another subconscious function. Your internal temperature must remain within a narrow range for your cells to function properly. Your subconscious constantly monitors temperature and makes adjustments to maintain homeostasis. When you are too warm, it increases blood flow to your skin and triggers sweating. When you are too cold, it reduces blood flow to your extremities to preserve heat for your core and may trigger shivering to generate heat through muscle activity. You may become consciously aware of feeling hot or cold, but the regulatory responses themselves are subconscious. But the subconscious control of the body goes far beyond these basic homeostatic functions. Your emotions, which are partly conscious but have deep subconscious roots, produce specific patterns of bodily changes. When you feel afraid, your subconscious activates the sympathetic nervous system, triggering the fight-or-flight response. Your heart rate increases, Your breathing becomes faster and shallower. Blood flow is redirected from your digestive system to your muscles. Your pupils dilate. Stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol flood your bloodstream. These changes prepare your body for rapid action, and they all happen automatically based on your subconscious appraisal of threat. Different emotions produce different bodily signatures. Anger activates similar physiological changes to fear, but with more blood flow to the arms and face. Sadness produces different patterns, often including decreased arousal, reduced energy, and changes in immune function. Joy and excitement increase arousal in ways that feel pleasant rather than stressful. Your subconscious is continuously generating these emotional bodily states based on its ongoing appraisal of your situation. And these bodily changes in turn influence your emotional experience, creating a feedback loop between subconscious appraisal, bodily response, and conscious feeling. This bidirectional communication between subconscious and body is the basis for mind-body medicine and the placebo effect. When you believe you are receiving effective treatment, even if the treatment is actually inert, your subconscious can trigger real physiological changes that produce symptoms, relief. Placebo responses have been documented for pain, depression, anxiety, Parkinson's disease, and many other conditions. Brain imaging studies show that placebos activate the same neural pathways and neurotransmitter systems as active medications. The effect is not imaginary or merely psychological in some dismissive sense. It is a genuine physiological response triggered by subconscious expectations and beliefs. This reveals something profound. Your subconscious has considerable control over your body's healing and regulatory systems, and this control is influenced by your beliefs, expectations, and psychological state. Stress, anxiety, and negative emotions, processed subconsciously, can suppress immune function, increase inflammation, raise blood pressure, and contribute to a wide range of physical health problems. Positive emotions, social connection, and a sense of meaning and purpose can enhance immune function, promote cardiovascular health, and support healing processes. The subconscious also controls your facial expressions and much of your body language. When you experience an emotion, your face automatically shifts into a corresponding expression, usually within a fraction of a second and before you are consciously aware of the emotion. These micro-expressions are subconsciously generated and can be extremely difficult to consciously suppress or fake. This is why people are often quite accurate at detecting when someone is lying or concealing their true feelings. The subconscious emotional responses leak through in subtle facial expressions and body language that other people's subconscious picks up on, even if no one is consciously aware of the cues being sent and received. Your posture and muscle tension are also largely under subconscious control and reflect your psychological state. When you are anxious, your subconscious increases muscle tension, particularly in the neck, shoulders, and jaw. Over time, chronic tension can lead to pain and dysfunction. When you are confident and relaxed, your posture opens, your movements become more fluid, and muscle tension decreases. These changes happen automatically based on your emotional state, and they also feed back to influence that state. Research shows that deliberately adopting confident postures can actually increase feelings of confidence and reduce stress hormones, while slouched, closed postures can increase feelings of depression and powerlessness. The subconscious regulation of sleep itself is a form of body-mind control. Your subconscious tracks circadian rhythms based on light exposure and internal timing mechanisms, building up sleep pressure as you remain awake, and eventually initiating the complex physiological changes that allow sleep to occur. Once you are asleep, your subconscious continues to regulate sleep cycles, moving through different stages of sleep in predictable patterns while maintaining the vital functions that keep you alive and managing the memory, consolidation, and restoration processes that make sleep essential for health. Understanding that the subconscious bridges mind and body helps explain why psychological interventions can have physical health benefits and why physical interventions can improve psychological well-being. Practices like meditation, yoga, deep breathing, and progressive muscle relaxation work by engaging the subconscious systems that link psychological states and bodily function. When you practice slow, deep breathing, you are not just oxygenating your blood. You are also signaling to your subconscious that you are safe and can relax, which triggers a cascade of physiological changes that reduce stress hormones, lower blood pressure, and shift your nervous system toward a more parasympathetic, rest and restore state. Conversely, physical exercise does not just strengthen muscles and improve cardiovascular fitness. It also influences neurotransmitter systems, reduces stress hormones, improves sleep, and enhances mood through mechanisms mediated by subconscious brain systems. The benefits of exercise for depression and anxiety are comparable to medication for many people. Not because exercise is distracting or builds self-esteem, although it may do those things, but because it directly influences the subconscious neurochemical systems that regulate mood. As you lie still tonight, your subconscious is managing the intricate dance between your mind and body. It is translating your thoughts and feelings into physiological changes, adjusting your body's systems based on what it perceives about your situation and needs. It is maintaining the delicate balance of countless processes that keep you alive and functioning. This is happening right now, in this moment, entirely outside your conscious awareness. Your subconscious is the invisible conductor orchestrating the symphony of mind and body, ensuring that psychological and physiological processes work together as an integrated whole. Understanding and respecting this connection is essential for both mental and physical health. The future implications: AI and the subconscious. As we peer into the future, one of the most fascinating and potentially concerning frontiers involves the intersection of artificial intelligence and the subconscious mind. As AI systems become more sophisticated and more deeply integrated into daily life, they gain unprecedented ability to influence the subconscious processes that shape human behavior, often in ways that are invisible to conscious awareness and difficult to regulate or resist. The fundamental vulnerability is this: while only about 5% of your mental activity is conscious and under your deliberate control, 95% operates subconsciously, automatically, outside your awareness. This 95% is extraordinarily powerful in shaping your behavior, but it is also potentially more vulnerable to external influence than your conscious mind because it is less accessible to deliberate reasoning and critical evaluation. If AI systems can identify patterns in how your subconscious responds to various stimuli, and then use those patterns to predict and influence your behavior, they gain a form of power over you that is difficult to detect and resist. This is not speculative science fiction. It is already happening to some degree. Modern AI-powered recommendation systems continuously learn your preferences, habits, and patterns of behavior by analyzing your clicks, purchases, viewing history, and engagement. They use this information to construct detailed models of your subconscious preferences and to predict what content, products, or information you will find engaging. Then, they strategically present options designed to maximize the probability that you will engage, often optimizing for metrics like time spent on platform or likelihood of purchase rather than what might genuinely serve your well-being. The ethical concern is that these systems can operate as a kind of decision architecture that subtly shapes your choices without your conscious awareness. By carefully controlling what options are presented to you, in what order, with what framing and context, these systems can nudge you toward particular decisions while maintaining the illusion that you are freely choosing. Your subconscious processes the available options and their presentation, and it influences your choice based on those inputs. But if the inputs themselves have been carefully curated by an AI system that understands your subconscious patterns, then your choice is being shaped in ways you do not recognize. Research in behavioral economics has long documented that people are susceptible to framing effects, default options, social proof, and other cognitive biases that operate largely subconsciously. AI systems can exploit these biases at a scale and with personalization. If the system knows from your past behavior that you are particularly susceptible to social proof, it might emphasize how many other people chose a particular option. If it knows you respond strongly to scarcity cues, it might emphasize limited availability. The system is not forcing you to choose anything. Your conscious mind still experiences itself as making free choices. But the system is shaping the subconscious inputs that influence those choices. Even more concerning are emerging technologies that might more directly stimulate subconscious responses. Brain-computer interfaces, neurofeedback devices, and other neurotechnologies are being developed that could potentially create impulses or stimuli designed to trigger specific subconscious reactions. While current technology is primitive, the trajectory is clear. As we develop better understanding of how specific patterns of neural activity correspond to particular subconscious states, and as we develop more sophisticated tools for monitoring and influencing neural activity, it becomes conceivable that external systems could trigger subconscious responses in ways that bypass conscious awareness and deliberation entirely. The neuroscience researcher Íñigo Beltrán de Heredia has argued that our subconscious mind represents our most private selves and should be completely sealed from outside access. He notes that we are already being intruded upon at a depth that was unimaginable just a few years ago, and he warns that if we leave the door open to subconscious influence, even for reasons that seem beneficial, we will not be able to control who has access, how it is accessed, or the aims of that access. Once the technology exists to reliably influence subconscious processes, it will be extraordinarily difficult to prevent misuse. This is not to say that all AI influence on human behavior is sinister, or that we are helpless victims. Many applications of AI that influence behavior are benign or even beneficial. Recommendation systems that help you discover music you enjoy or products that meet your needs can genuinely improve your life. AI systems that help you form better habits by providing timely reminders and encouragement can support your goals. The concern is about transparency, consent, and alignment of interests. When you understand how a system is influencing you, and that influence aligns with your genuine goals and values, it can be a useful tool. When influence operates at a subconscious level without your awareness or understanding, when it serves interests that may conflict with your own, then it becomes a form of manipulation that undermines autonomy. The challenge for policy and regulation is immense. Traditional approaches to consumer protection and informed consent assume that people can consciously understand and evaluate the information presented to them. But if influence operates at a subconscious level, traditional disclosure and consent mechanisms may be insufficient. You cannot consciously evaluate or consent to influences you are not aware of receiving. This suggests the need for new frameworks that protect the subconscious mind as a form of cognitive privacy, restricting access to technologies and techniques that can influence subconscious processing without explicit, informed consent, and ensuring that such influence serves the interests of the individual rather than external parties. There is also a question of scientific understanding. Despite decades of research, we still do not fully understand how the conscious and subconscious aspects of mind interact, how subconscious processes generate behavior, or how stable and predictable subconscious patterns really are. As neuroscience continues to advance, we will likely discover new forms of subconscious influence that we cannot yet anticipate. This creates a moving target for regulation and protection. The technologies for monitoring and influencing subconscious processes may advance faster than our ethical frameworks and protective policies can keep up. One hopeful note is that awareness itself provides some protection. When people understand that their subconscious can be influenced by external systems, and they develop some conscious awareness of when this might be happening, they can engage more conscious, deliberate processing that can override automatic subconscious responses. Critical thinking, media literacy, and metacognitive awareness, the ability to think about your own thinking, all provide some defense against subconscious manipulation. They do not make you immune, but they make you less vulnerable by increasing the likelihood that conscious awareness will notice and evaluate influences that might otherwise operate entirely subconsciously. Another important defense is designing technology with human autonomy and well-being as core values. AI systems could potentially be designed to respect and support subconscious processes rather than exploit them, to help people understand their own patterns rather than using those patterns against them, to provide genuine choice rather than manipulated illusion of choice. Whether such designs will predominate depends on the values and incentives that shape technological development. If profit maximization is the primary driver, systems will likely optimize for engagement and behavior change regardless of well-being. If human flourishing and autonomy are prioritized, different designs become possible. As you drift towards sleep tonight, consider that your subconscious mind, that vast interior landscape that shapes so much of who you are and what you do, is increasingly becoming a frontier for technological influence. This is both opportunity and risk. The same understanding of subconscious processes that allows beneficial applications like effective education, therapy, and human-computer interaction, also creates possibilities for manipulation and control. How we navigate this frontier, what protections we establish, what uses we permit, and what we prohibit will profoundly shape human autonomy and well-being in the coming decades. Your subconscious is yours, the most private part of your mind. It deserves protection. Closing reflection. As we come to the end of this quiet journey through the hidden depths of the subconscious mind, take a moment to simply rest. Let everything we have explored tonight settle gently into the background of your awareness. You do not need to hold on to any specific facts or ideas. Your subconscious has already registered everything that matters, storing it away in patterns that may surface later in unexpected moments of insight or recognition. We have traveled through a vast landscape of science and discovery tonight. We explored how the subconscious makes decisions before you are aware of them, how it processes information at speeds that defy conscious comprehension, how it works tirelessly during sleep to consolidate memories and solve problems. We examined how it takes language literally, how it can be influenced by stimuli you never consciously perceive, and how it serves as the crucial bridge between your mind and body. We looked toward a future where artificial intelligence may increasingly interact with these subconscious processes in ways that raise profound questions about privacy, autonomy, and what it means to be human. Throughout all of this, one insight remains central. You are far more than your conscious awareness. The thoughts that cross your mind, the choices you believe you are making, the sense of being a self that experiences the world, all of this rests on a vast foundation of subconscious processing that operates continuously, automatically, and largely invisibly. Your subconscious is not some primitive or inferior part of your mind. It is a sophisticated, powerful system that makes you capable of navigating a complex world with fluid grace, learning from experience, connecting with others, and occasionally producing insights and ideas that surprise even yourself. Understanding the subconscious does not diminish the value of consciousness or the meaning of your choices. Rather, it enriches your self-understanding and opens new possibilities for growth and change. When you recognize how much of your behavior flows from subconscious patterns, you can work more skillfully with those patterns rather than fighting against them or pretending they do not exist. When you appreciate the incredible processing power and sophistication of your subconscious, you can learn to trust its wisdom while also maintaining conscious oversight for decisions that truly matter. The relationship between your conscious and subconscious mind is not hierarchical, but collaborative. Both are essential. Consciousness provides the ability to step back, reflect, plan for the future, and override automatic responses when necessary. The subconscious provides the processing power, learned expertise, intuitive judgment, and automatic execution that make complex behavior possible. Working together, these two aspects of mind create the full richness of human experience and capability. As you lie there now, your subconscious is still working. It is managing your breathing, your heartbeat, your body temperature. It is processing the sounds and sensations in your environment, categorizing them, deciding what requires attention and what can be filtered out. It is gradually moving you towards sleep, initiating the complex cascade of neurochemical changes that will shift your brain into different states of consciousness. And once you are asleep, it will continue its nightly work of memory consolidation, emotional processing, and neural maintenance, ensuring that you wake tomorrow refreshed and ready to continue learning and growing. If you found this exploration valuable, if it changed how you think about your own mind, or gave you new appreciation for the incredible complexity hidden beneath your everyday experience, I would be grateful if you would take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the Sleepy Science Society. Leave a comment sharing what aspect of the subconscious you found most surprising or intriguing. Your engagement helps this channel reach more people who are curious about science and seeking that peaceful blend of learning and relaxation that makes sleep both restorative and enriching. But those are tasks for later if you choose. Right now, there is nothing you need to do. You can simply let go. Let your body sink deeper into comfort. Let your breathing slow and deepen. Let thoughts drift without trying to hold them or follow them. Your subconscious will take it from here. It knows how to guide you into sleep, how to process the experiences of your day, how to prepare you for tomorrow. You can trust it completely. Thank you for spending this time with me, exploring the quiet mysteries of the mind. Thank you for your curiosity, your openness, and your willingness to wander into these deep questions about consciousness and the hidden workings of thought. Sleep well. Rest deeply. And when you wake, you may find that something has shifted. Some new understanding has taken root in those subconscious depths we explored tonight. Good night.